Welcome, guys. Sorry about that. We are a little behind today. Welcome. I am Caffeine and Chaos, the wonderful, handsome, magical man. To my left is Drake, the working dragon mystic. As you know me, I am Caffeine and Chaos, or also known as the Linda. So welcome to Magical Coffee Hour. Today, we have a special treat for you, especially... Oh, I have snacks. The magical power of snacks. No, I'm just kidding. This is the magical power, or is it a placebo? What does that mean to me? We've gone over a lot of different types of magic. We've gone over different spells. We've gone over like the meanings, how to talk to entities or how to contact entities, how to request assistance from entities such as gods, fairies, or other forms of craft. And now I'm wanting to know, is there magic? Or is there a placebo effect? Because what if I say a prayer, say a chant, say anything, and I take my crystal and I rub it and I'm like, big money, big money, big money, 7, and I happen to win on the number 7. Is that actually magic? Or was it just a coincidence and my connection to the magical realms is just a placebo effect? I see you have your alcohol back there and you're teasing me with it.
No, actually, I thought I saw something else behind me. I was like, what the hell?
Back up. Nope. Sorry, cat. Trying to get my snack.
They do that.
They do. And these are delicious chicken jalapeno poppers. So,
Ooh.
She's not allowed to have them.
I made chili tonight.
Yeah. Okay, so, sorry, I just kind of like blew up in your face on all that. So, how are you doing, Drake?
I am doing great.
Good. Have a good New Year and all that jazz?
Yeah, I did. Made some wassail, had some mead. It was good.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, so, magic or placebo? What can you tell me about the placebo effects when it comes to magic?
Well, there is a good case for it in some magics. And the main reason is when we look at magic, most people talk about magic to benefit themselves directly. And because of that, you got the placebo effect comes in because people's like, you're doing this spell that gives you the confidence to gain money. You think it's going to bring you money. So subconsciously, you end up doing the little things that helps you to get the money. It's not really the magic. So they're kind of going with a psychological hacking, hypnosis kind of viewpoint. And in a lot of cases, it's really hard to debunk it.
Okay, so when it comes to magic, we'll go with the whole, like, how I said that magic, we'll go with magic with C, has become a very popular topic in pop culture recently. I mean, like, I've talked to you before. A big example right now is The Witcher, by the way, is one of my favorite shows on TV right now, or on Netflix. Is it on Netflix? Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Still haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you need to watch it, man. It's great. The books, the video game, the comic books, they're all fantastic. So highly recommend The Witcher. They did a great job of it. A lot of hard to digest pieces.
Good.
Like very hard to digest scenes in the show. So it's a good show. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I know I've brought that up many times. Harry Potter. I was hoping he was bringing me a drink. I was trying to will him with my mind to bring me a drink. We have so many different types of shows and books. And then, as we talked about on our New Year's episode, I was talking about how I'm going to start working on myself spiritually a lot more than I have been, and focusing more on me and taking care of me inside and out. So I've been doing a lot more research than, I typically do for these shows, because, I'm trying to come in as raw as possible as far as my knowledge goes, because I genuinely want to formulate these questions from my brain and as a generic person would have for you, and then formulate the questions as somebody else would have. and then hit you with them in their rawest possible form. So, you can give me the most genuine answer back as somebody would want them.
Makes sense.
Instead of me having that, well, I just, went online and I contacted a sorcerer on the East Coast or on the West Coast and up in Canada and over in Europe and Australia. And, this is what they told me. Now I'm going to take that, use that as back pocket knowledge, and then throw it at your face. I don't do that. Like, I love as raw of questions because it's a genuine thing that I want to know. But I've been doing a lot of research on my personal, like, for me and everything like that. And I've been looking up into, like, pagan self-care and other things like we had talked about before, just to learn a little bit more. And I noticed a lot of things we're talking about how certain styles of meditation or using crystals or using certain herbs would make people feel better after, having meditation. And we'll say they burned, what was one? They were rubbing a citrine crystal and had their own personal chant that they were saying over and over and over again. And then, next thing you know, they had, like, their headache was gone. Or their, suddenly, that thing that they've been working on at work for, months now has finally paid off and now they got a raise. Stuff of that kind of caliber. Now, would you say that feel-good vibe that they're getting from it, and they're claiming that it was the magic that they had been trying to hone and possess, would you say that was more of a that's exactly how it happened, or do you think that would be more considered a placebo effect of the magic? Or what they think was the magic?
I actually, from what I understand of magic and crystal magic and mantras or incantations, I would say that they actually did harness energy and create a change, and therefore it is magic. Now, mind you, I've got a larger background of experiences than someone who hasn't practiced magic. So, which anybody who does one spell pretty much beats somebody who's never done it. But that said, I could see why someone would think, because it almost looks and sounds like self-hypnosis of the subconscious. And there's a reason for that, because if you sit around and you dwell on something that has pissed you off or put you in a bad mood, you're going to be in a bad mood. However, if you focus on something you like, I don't know, pizza, coffee, scotch, and that puts you in a good mood, your mood will shift. You didn't have to do anything specific to direct energy or anything, so that could easily be considered a placebo effect. Though I would even argue that one wouldn't be placebo, because you are, thinking about that positive. But there is a placebo effect in there, because somebody can lie to you and tell you something to put you in a bad mood or a good mood. The information's not real, but it still has an effect. So that can be very placebo-ish in emotion.
Okay, so I have a question. So, actually, I have a pretty solid example. And this one's probably going to get me a lot of hate, and I'm sorry for that. This is not to be hateful or anything like that, especially in the pagan community, because I know you guys have been working really hard on this.
Honestly, if we answer questions we get asked, we're going to end up pissing people off.
This is factual. So
we can't make everyone happy.
So this is kind of a placebo versus magic thing. So willing something to happen naturally, such as rainfall. That is a really big one that I'm not even going to say the exact thing that made me start thinking about this, because I know it's a very sensitive topic at this time. Oh. But we'll pretend a little town. Thank you. I love you.
Love you. Love you.
I did not will him with my mind. I actually texted him to bring me more water. So we'll pretend a small town is, they are going through a drought, right? Small town, it's a farming community. They need water for the crops. If there's a drought, the wells are drying up, the rivers are drying up, they're going to need rain. Mm-hmm. Rain is a thing. Now, if this drought occurs, we'll say it's during what should be technically the raining season, would, the magic workers of the town, you know, doing spells, chants, magic circles, doing sigils in the dirt, various magical forms trying to get it to rain. And like I already said, it's in the middle of the raining season. It just happens to be a drought right now. Would that sudden rainstorm that came, after a couple days of this magic work happening, would that be considered a coincidence and therefore a placebo effect from the magic because people are like, the magic worked? Or would you say that, it was the magic working?
I would go with the magic working, and the reason I say that is I had to travel cross country at the same time a snowstorm hit the 3 states I was leaving from and had to pass through. I specifically done magic to make sure that our route would be clear. And we literally stayed ahead of everything, or it fell everywhere around us. You could literally see the snowfall on the radar and look at my maps that I had in the car and just draw a line. So to me, that was more than coincidence. That was clearly the weather had been shifted to make my trip safe and uneventful. Which was nice because we had to cross Dead Man's Pass. But there are people I'm sure who would view it as coincidental.
Hold on one moment, please. I'm having some technical difficulties over here. And for some reason, it's, I don't know if I'm live over here or not. Like, for some reason, it's showing...
I see you live on my thing. On my channel.
On yours, yes. I'm looking to see if I have live on mine. It's kind of, it's acting weird. Like, where I'm viewing it on my side, it's showing me hosting somebody. It's not me. It's not my channel.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm actually live right now or if I'm actually hosting somebody. So that could be interesting.
Well, let's see if I can try and open you up and see what I'm seeing.
Let's see here. Oh, no, it's showing live. I'm live now. We're good.
Okay, we got her going.
I don't know what the heck just happened, but I am live. I'm good. Life is good. I think. Close enough.
Well, to be live on your channel was your goal, so hey.
I mean, this is true. I had goals, and for some reason, yours isn't showing up for me either, so I don't know what's going on. So hopefully I'm showing live for somebody. If not, well, it was good, guys. It was great.
This is why we have a replay.
So anyways, sorry about that. My little freak out right there. So I guess, even if it was during that, if you say so, I believe it. Like, I do believe there is a level of manipulation of nature and the things around you and being able to kind of control more of the energies to help sway things in one way or the other. However, I do think that, a lot of the time, a lot of people think of coincidences or things that were already coming into fruition happen, and then, they're like, oh, well, it was the power of prayer, or it was the power of... Aloha, Black Tower 777. Welcome to the stream.
That's hello. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Hello. Wrong keyboard.
Do believe that there are some points where the power of prayer, the power of chant, the power of magic are limited. So, like, we'll take... Here's a good one. Here's a very good example.
Uh-oh.
I take a test twice a year to try to promote, right? To try to gain my next promotion ranking and all that stuff.
Right.
I believe that prayer, chant, magical intervention prior to me taking the test and prior to the grading of said test could help sway one way or the other.
Yes.
However, the beginning prayers and chanting for my results to say that I passed the exam and that I am getting promoted to the next pay grade, the day before the advancement exam comes out is not going to sway the results because the work to get there has already passed. And the things had already been graded, the things had already been done. They just make us wait 3 months before they tell us what we got. So I don't think 2 days before they say, hey, congratulations, you made it or not, I don't think that's going to sway it one way or the other. But I think if you're doing the preparations prior,
Yeah.
I think that would actually have some help. But I have definitely seen people who are they have their religious awakening, if you will, or their spiritual awakening before the exam comes out, but they didn't before the exam happened. And then they're like, oh yeah, prayer's what got me here, or my magic is what got me here. But did you do that before the exam?
Well, you bring up a good point. And when we wanted to do placebo effect, I didn't think about this. But one of the better definitions I've heard of magic is probability enhancement. And I like that. And another teacher of mine in Louisiana, she pointed out that anytime you're manipulating something to create a change, you're having to move more than one thing. You don't just have a string. As she put it, it's a rat's nest on a fishing reel. And you're trying to find that one line to pull to untangle the whole thing. So, as she described it, you either have to have massive amounts of focused laser precision energy to change it quick or almost instantaneous, or you're going to need a longer window of time. So these are all factors when a spell comes in. So in theory, if you raised enough power day before results, you could cause enough change to alter that. But when you look at what you have to alter, you're talking massive amounts of power. Because there's basically computer files, paper loss, there's all these things that would have to go wrong in order to change that one number. Or even the result percentage to make that happen. That is a massive, massive amount of focus and power. Which is, I can't say it's impossible, but I'll say improbable for most people at the very least. I wouldn't bet on it. I've done a lot of crazy shit with my practice, but I don't think I would bet on that. I would rather, like you said, I'd like to get the working started before the test was even taken. That way you got that whole window, that whole chain of events. So instead of trying to untangle a pre-existing knot, now you get to braid freely. Does that make sense?
I love cats so much.
She looks like she wants down now.
She's trying to get to my food, or what was my food, because she's a little hoe bag.
Lilith, you're not supposed to be eating that.
Did I tell you what she did the other night?
No.
She got on top of the stove. This was after the stove had been cooled off, of course.
Well, that's good.
There was a lamb chop still in the pan, and she apparently knocked it off, and one of the dogs got a hold of it.
See, our cat would have just ate the aluminum foil. Every time he got up there, he passed over the food and went for the aluminum foil to chew on.
That's weird. Your cat was not right in any shape or form.
Seffy loved him. That's what mattered.
Hey, you know what? I loved him too. He was a good kitty cat. However, he was not right.
So, yeah. So I would agree with you that it is far easier to change an event if you prepare ahead of time.
So we'll go with my my analogy of I got a headache because I've had a headache for like 2 days now. I'm like overly stressed about a lot of stuff. So if I take and I pop a 800 milligram ibuprofen or 2 or 4, however many I feel like doing that day because of how the intensity of the headache. But then after I have already popped my ibuprofen, would, and I go and I start rubbing my crystals all over my face. Because I shit you not, this is like a recommendation I definitely saw in one of these.
I've actually seen it. I've actually saw a person. They actually took the time to hold a crystal here, balance one on each thumb so they could do this little number. And they were just sitting in public doing this because they had a headache with crystals.
So,
even when I feel good, I ain't got time to do
goes
that.
Away. My headache now goes away. Is that the intervention of the ibuprofen kicking in, or is that the magic of my crystals and the love of my crystals happening? I'm sorry. I respect those who use crystal magic. I really do. But I mean, some of it is just beyond asinine on how some people are like, where's my lucky crystal at? Like, yes, I have a lucky amethyst that I love so dearly, that I like to fidget with because I like the texture of it. I like how it feels in my hands and my fingertips. I don't know where it is right now. It might be on the floor. But I'm not going to sit here in public rubbing it on my face going, my headache is going away.
Yeah. When it comes to magic in public, I teach an entire class on basically covert, unseen magic in public so that you don't have to do that. But you're right, and I kind of agree with you.
On my stress levels right now.
Oh, you're going to get us in trouble, but that's okay. No,
I'm sorry.
Well, I've honestly spent some time researching crystals. I've been trying to figure them out because I get asked all the time, is it bogus? Is it real? And so far, I can nail down to the fact that, yes, they have an energetic frequency. Fine. They do all seem to have a slightly different vibration. They do naturally conduct energy. So, yeah, that energy, I mean, even science has shown exposure to energy will have an effect on us in one way or the other. Does it have the effects that they say, and is it as intense as they say? That's kind of where I'm still wanting to know more. But now don't get me wrong, I was in the hospital for surgery and doped up and everything, and I had a wonderful friend come in and she put some crystals around, and Jane's a real sweetheart. Now at no point would I ever laugh at her for doing that, because she done that out of pure love and kindness and everything, and if that helped my stay at the hospital at all, I'm grateful. And even if it didn't, the fact that she cared enough to do it, again, grateful. And I've asked, do I feel it had an effect? I'll be honest with you. I was so out of it that whole week, I couldn't tell you. The only thing I remember for that whole week is they wouldn't let me have coffee.
That would make me upset.
Yeah, they told me I couldn't eat. I was like, I can understand that. Can I have some coffee? No, all you can have is water. Wait, hold the phone.
That is not okay. That is not what I signed up for. You want me to live? You want to live.
My next solid memory is getting rolled back in from surgery, and the operating doctor, first thing he said is, get this man some coffee.
I like it. When I came out of surgery last year, they gave me a popsicle and I puked it up because it was grape flavored.
Ugh.
I don't like grape flavored popsicles.
No. Now, there are areas of magic, though, that really push the placebo effect off the balcony. Because we've talked about crystals, we've talked about all these things that they're very inwardly focused. It could be self-hypnosis or placebo effect, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, when people talk about curses you tell someone they're cursed, they end up cursing themselves with bad luck because you told them they're cursed. They get paranoid. They start making their own mistakes. That's usually how that line of logic goes. Well, what about baneful magic that the person knows nothing about, but the exact thing that you done your spell work for befalls them for no known reason? So
here's a very legitimate question that just popped up in my head when you brought up the whole the hypnosis and self-cursing thing. I'm going to have Paul explain this one a little bit better to me at some point so I could actually tell it to you better.
Okay.
But ultimately, apparently, his aunt was cursed as a child because they pissed off some farmer's wife and they ended up finding teeth of like a hog or something on their porch. Do you know of any kind of magic that requires pig teeth? And now she says the entire family's cursed and blames any type of bad thing that happens on the family curse. And then like his other aunt was like really hardcore into like numerology.
Yeah.
And can you tell me where you stand on that? Is there like a placebo effect? I know like Wiccans believe in the power of 3, but I haven't dove too deep into that because there are some of these forums that I've been reading and I'm just like, look, folks, common sense, like religion or not, spirituality or not, I don't care where you're going with anything. Common sense, though, please. Just use it every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
Sticking
tell
up
you.
your hoo-ha is not going to solve your endometriosis. Please don't do that.
Oh, God, you actually reminded me of a ritual. Somebody actually was talking about they purposely went out of their way to sage their hoo-ha. I was like, you did what? And they're describing the ritual. I was like, I don't want to know. I'm good. I don't want to know no more. But I do know spells that require pigs or hogs' teeth and boar's teeth and stuff like that.
Okay.
If Paul wants a better description of what I think might have happened, I'd need more details. Because it can be anything from a curse to a prosperity blessing. It really can. Now, numerology. For my personal practice, the verdict is still a little out. Because, as I've stated before, my practice is it's more scientific side because I actually want to be able to reproduce results. I want results I can reliably get. And for my personal practice, I demand 85% or better manifestation results. Anytime I do a spell or I consider it useless. And I specify that because numerology, I've seen a lot of people try to point to the science of it. I've just yet to see the actual science. But on a spiritual side, rock and roll with it. And the main reason I have an issue is no one can actually show where they're getting the information. Like one, was it last? No, it wasn't last year. It was the year before last. I did an entire path working with Norse sorcery. Norse magic, the number 9 is a big deal.
Did not know that.
So, I was looking up all the different meanings for the number 9 and all the different adepts and all that. And I actually found about 12 different meanings for the number 9, and a lot of them completely contradicted them. At that point, it's like, okay, which one's accurate? So, for me, numerology, it's still a bit up in the air without enough foundation, other than what some author's thrown in a book, that I've not really spent too much time with it. Now, that said, there are certain aspects of it that I do agree with. Maybe not the whole diagram just yet, but there are certain things because it matches up with other aspects of magic. And that's if you can create multiple associations for the work you're doing, you're just plugging more and more energy and better focusing it. So, if, like say you're wanting to work with earth energy and you know Earth is the 3rd planet from the sun, so now you got the number 3 and you just kind of build it up whether it makes sense. You don't necessarily need a book, you just need to, does this make sense in your head? And you can plug those little factors in that way. And it will, because it's helping your brain focus on it. And it's building that foundation for your own brain. And that's going to help you focus more energy. In those states, yeah, I get it completely.
Okay. So I'm not trying to pick on crystals. Just so everybody's clear, I'm not picking on crystals. It just happens to be the one thing that really pops up a lot when you're looking into these things. So I'm not hating on crystals. So basically, somebody could kind of give themselves almost like a self hypnosis and pretty much deliver the same effect, magical effect that they are trying to gain if they focus on something hard enough. So
Yep.
basically, like if I said that my little lucky crystal, the one that I like to fidget with all the time, if I said this is what's going to help me promote next fucking test, right? I think I tested March. Yeah, I tested March. I just put all my focus and energy in this crystal, and I take it with me to all my study sessions. Every single time I go study, every single time I go and do my study sessions, I host my study stuff, and I sit here and I'm just focusing while I'm like doing all this, and I'm just like, okay, this crystal's getting me like charged up. I'm focusing on this crystal. I'm learning and I'm focusing on this crystal, and I take this crystal with me to my test, and I somehow magically, no pun intended on that one, but I somehow miraculously passed this exam, because let me tell you, these exams are not easy. They suck so hard, but I passed. Would we say that it was the crystal? Was it me putting, yes, like entering a semi-trance state?
Yeah.
Would this be me putting that energy into the crystal and then ultimately yielding good results, or would it be the work that I did on a non-magical side, and I'm just congratulating my crystal for being a supportive part of my day?
I would actually say it's a little bit of both, because the way a lot of sigil magic, not all of it, and well, definitely talisman style magic works, you put the energy in the object, but you also have the object there to remind you of what's happening. So it's kind of like an accountability buddy at the gym. Every time you look at the crystal, you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do the thing. And that crystal is putting out the energy as well to continue that forward. And I've always taught my students, if you work both in the physical and in the metaphysical realm while trying to achieve a goal whenever possible, you further increase your probability. Like if you do a spell to get a job, I've seen it happen where the job will knock on your door. But that's like 1 in a million. You're more than likely your spell's going to fizzle if you're not putting in applications.
Yeah.
And interviewing. So, yes, the magic can turn that around, but some things you actually have to apply yourself for. I mean, for example, let's say you did all the magic in the world to pass your exam, but you don't go take your exam. Intent.
Okay.
Yes. Black Tower 777 is right. The energy intent can basically become a thought form that puts out and acts in your favor.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. But I'm just going to let you know right meow. I'm not going to put all my faith into my crystal. I'm gonna do a lot of studying too, because I want to make extra money. I'm gonna be real. I need to make that extra money. Dogs are expensive.
Yeah, they are. And yeah, I would definitely say, do your part too. That's always a good thing. I mean, one of the better examples of this is spell work to help you at the gym, put on muscle, lose weight, whatever it is you're doing. Let's say you know your body, you've worked out before, you know generally how you put on muscle, and you do a spell and you notice that muscle's coming on quicker this time.
Okay.
Well, you're seeing an effect. But it's highly, highly unlikely that you're going to do the spell, go to bed, and wake up looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You still have to do something to trigger the body to start so the spell can help you put it on quicker. Or in the case of weight loss, take it off faster.
Okay. I like it. All right. So I was reading in some of the forums. Like I said, I've been doing some homework. I am so proud of myself on this. Uh, but don't worry, I promise not to do too much homework. So I'm not, like I told you at the beginning, try to keep my questions pure. So a lot of them says that sigils and spells and stuff are individual to the caster. So would you say that that creates, I would say, a little bit more of, can that cause issues? I guess is the question I'm asking. Like, could that cause issues as far as delivering the placebo effect? So, like, if I had a chant that was for weight loss, we'll go with weight loss. Uh, so I'm doing my chant for my weight loss, but you have your own chant for doing your weight loss, and you know you and I are two different people. We're doing two different types of things, but we're both also kind of leaning on that magical side as well. But I'm experiencing weight loss and you're not. Is it because of what I'm doing in my body type, or is it my spell, or is it your spell that's having the issue?
Yeah.
Or we have the same. We'll pretend we have the same body type, the same needs, but we're doing two separate spells because the spells again are individual to the user. Would that be a placebo effect, or would that be actual like magic happening?
I would say it's magic happening because Black Tower here beat me to my answer. One reason a lot of people don't like my approach to magic when I say I take the scientific approach, because I literally do. In the scientific method, you have a theory, you have an ideal, you find an application, you test it. Do you get a result? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you go back, you rewrite the application, you come up with a new process, and you test it. I see way, way too many people who are out there trying to get their hands on spell books. They want spells, 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 spells. Give me a spell book. You're better off learning how to create a spell and learning the bones of a spell to make your own. Because if you build it from the ground up, everything in that spell makes sense to you. And I teach my students, if you come across something and it makes no sense to you whatsoever, and you just can't wrap your head around it, don't use it. Because that's actually going to create an energetic blockage. Hey, I'm a spirit animal! Woo!
I mean, as long as you like coffee.
Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee. That's pretty much offerings to me is just coffee. That's how you summon me.
No, that's a bold-faced lie, okay? You need to offer him coffee, and you need to offer him smoked meat at his altar. Like, those are the two must-haves.
I like her ideal better. I like her ideal better. Oh, that's good stuff. Okay, I'll admit, I drink Death Wish, I drink a lot of Iron Bean, so I do drink some of the fancier coffees, but when I go to the store and I do just get the ground stuff, I grew up on Folgers, and out of the Folgers series, Black Silk is the stuff. You can totally leave that at my doorstep or on my altar any day of the week. That's good. You got good taste there.
He's a cheap date, let me tell you.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Cheap date. All right. So, what about... Do I have any of my Death Wish stickers on? No.
That's actually one of the mugs. Every time they come out with a set that has something on it I buy them.
Oh, I know. I've been putting my stickers all over my my water bottle. And I mean, I have my Player One coffee one.
Yeah.
IBCC here. I have my gay little Groot.
Yeah. So, but
I love my gay little Groot. It makes me so happy.
But that's what I do with my spells. If it doesn't work, I go back to the drawing board. And when it starts to work, I start looking at how I can enhance it to get to that 85% that I demand of my personal practice. So
okay.
That's a great question you asked, because there are a lot of factors that go into that probability enhancement, and the more you understand that foundation, the more you can alter it.
I like it. So I guess another question I have then is, if we use the same, is there a potential if we use the same spell, is there a potential of said spell working with twice the power, or is it potential that it'll work only at half power because you're using it and it works for you, and I'm using it and it doesn't work for me?
It shouldn't split the power. Okay, there's more than ample power in the universe. It shouldn't split the power that way, unless for some reason we're specifically doing a ritual that way, which I don't know why either of us would do that. We kind of take Tim Allen's view on power. More power!
I was about to say, we're going to start grunting and growling and banging things in our garage. I mean, I can do that.
We can do that. I just don't want the hospital bill. Yeah, see, no division of power. Now, here's the kicker.
Okay.
If, like, let's say I have a sigil. I've had a lot of success with this sigil. I can give that sigil to someone else, and they can have success with it. It's really based upon whether that sigil works for them in their own subconscious somewhat. Because if you know me and you know my practice and you know it works and you have faith in my practice, that could be plenty enough for me to hand you a sigil and just you go rocking and rolling with it because you're not going to question it.
Okay. So Black Tower actually makes a fairly pretty solid point to what I was actually about to ask next.
If we could connect it.
So my next follow-up question was, there was some people who, for various things going on in local areas across the world and everything like that, there were some very specific sigils that are being passed around online to help with things going on around the world. And my next question was going to go, if everybody is utilizing said sigil for that one particular purpose, would it make it stronger, or would it only work partially?
Yes, it makes it stronger.
Like we had said earlier, each person's sigil is individual to their own.
Yeah. It would actually add more and more power to it the more people who are using it. Much like the Goetia. The 72 spirits of the Goetia, there's very little variations in the different sigils you'll see for those spirits. And because of that, those symbols have been recognized through generations. So if you're working with evocation, those sigils are really easy to activate and get to evoke a spirit. Because so many generations have used them that there's all this background energy that's been poured into them. So whether you look at this symbol as an access to an egregore that was created by humanity, or it's an actual being who gave that symbol to us, either way, the symbol itself has so much energy poured in it throughout the ages, you're getting a supercharged symbol that's easy to activate.
Okay. Now, here's a curveball, and it also is connected to one of my questions I had for you last week.
Ah, bugger.
What about runes?
What?
So, I know that, like, your runes.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people... Oh, I was thinking it was your upper arm. I know a lot of people who practice more Norse-related magic are very... what's the word I'm looking for? They're very adamant about using Norse runes and everything of that nature. Now, would those be considered a type of sigil? And are they tried and true, they work every time? Or is this one of those, you need to tweak it to your own power?
Well, yes and no. See, I'm going to have to throw a curveball back at you. Because on one hand, you have the runes. Now, each rune, not only is it a symbol that contains power, but even the name itself is a spell. There's an entire section of rune magic called Goldering. Now, this is where you intone and chant the name of the rune to cast the spell that rune works within.
You have a friend request pending on Facebook from your new friend, Black Tower.
I will get to that as soon as I can. Thank you very much for letting me know.
I will not say that out loud just because Facebook safety and YouTube safety purposes.
Now, here's where runes cross, because, I mean, Black Tower's right, they are different than sigils. But it's like two lines that cross, only in that one point, but you have what's called bind runes. And this is where you create a symbol or what some people call a sigil out of multiple runes to create a singular rune. And then that one symbol contains all the powers and focuses of the different ones you've combined to create it. You will have people argue, is this sigil magic or not? And it's...
So I saw something similar to like what you're talking about as far as making a rune.
Yeah.
Somebody made a sigil. Like I said, I've been doing research. Somebody made a symbol for rain, utilizing the letters RAIN, and created a rune out of that.
That would be a sigil.
Okay.
Because sigil magic, you can take any shapes, letters, or what, and you build this abstract symbol that's called the sigil.
Okay.
And a lot of people do it with letters. I think in my sigil magic introduction video, I actually used letters. I just wrote out what it was we were working for and showed how you can abstractly put them together. And I even told I like mine to look messy so I don't recognize the lettering as easily. But then there's some people who can make absolutely gorgeous sigils.
I sent you a message on Facebook in regards to sigil magic. That is not safe for my channel. Well, it's safe for my channel. I don't know if it's safe for your channel, but it's not safe for YouTube standards. So I'm not going to say it out loud.
Appreciate it.
But it'll make you laugh.
Okay. You want me to click on that now?
I mean, if you want to look at your Facebook, but don't do it on your computer because then it'll just bring up our conversations. I don't think people want to see my conversations with you on stream. The link to his YouTube channel is, all you have to do is go onto YouTube and type in the Working Dragon Mystic, and he should be one of the first ones to pop up. Welcome, by the way.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. Yeah, yeah, we good on that. Okay, let's... Link.
Also, if you're wondering why I'm leaning like this, I know Drake kind of understands how I have things set up. I know not many people know how my setup is going. So I have the actual stream in front of me on my laptop. I have Drake's stream on my computer or on my TV monitor thingy in the back behind my screen. And then I have my stream opened up on my tablet on my cat tree beside me. So I have like 3 screens going around. And if I can't see something, I'm typically like moving around looking at different screens. Yeah, I got screenception over here.
Yeah, she has. I don't know how she keeps up with it.
It's better so I can see you guys and like yell at Drake if I need to yell at him, or if I need to yell at somebody in my stream, I can turn, look, and yell at them. I mean, I like yelling at people. It's my favorite thing.
Hey, if it works, right?
Factual. All right.
Okay, Black Tower, I just hit your friend request. If you click on my profile, you'll see several of the videos I've posted recently, and it should take you straight to my channel. I'm on a very slow laptop right now that I don't have the stream running on, so it's kind of hard for me to click over on things.
So while we have your attention, Black Tower, do you have any questions for us in regards to the topic of today, or any questions that you have in general that have come to your mind? We are happy to go off track because we can talk forever. Like, the reason why this stream was a few minutes late was because we started talking about a future
topic
stream that we plan on talking about maybe next week.
Let me make some phone calls before we get ourselves hurt on that one.
Okay.
But possibly.
Okay. I promise that I won't wear... Never mind, I can't say that.
All right, hit us with it.
Appropriately for that conversation.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, let's hear your question, Black Tower. In high magic, there are lots of personal results that come from working the mini grade rites.
Yes. Often referred to as personal gnosis.
Noses?
Gnosis.
Oh, I think you said noses.
No.
I have a personal nose.
If you see it written, it's usually spelled with a G at the front, so it looks like gnosis.
Got you. That silent G.
Yeah, that my teachers made fun of me for a long time over that silent G when I was first learning magic. Us Southerners, we want to pronounce everything.
We want to pronounce it, and we want to pronounce it long and slow. If you have ever performed any, would you say some of the results could be entertained by one's self as being relevant and true, or rather logically created by the subconscious?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Actually, last year I did an entire path working with the the Clefothic, and the Dark Tree. Now, the thing with personal gnosis, it is something you experience directly, and some of it could just be created by your subconscious, some of it may not. And really, you kind of have to figure that out for yourself because you know you better than anyone. So you have to ask yourself, is this information something that you could have got from somewhere without tapping into a larger source? That said, the great thing about a lot of ceremonial magic's viewpoints, and if you look at the laws of magic, it's even in there. If it works for you and you're getting results, magically, that makes it true.
Interesting. Yes, you do, but I was seriously curious on either of your takes on this subject. So as far as my take on any subject in regards to anything and everything, I am only here for the pop culture references. I'm honestly really dumb when it comes to magic. I am learning my own stuff, but I am completely dumb. So he's my handy dandy master here.
I don't know, I'm a master. I'm just a fool who's made enough mistakes to learn from them.
I mean, that makes you a master of fools. Hi, I'm a fool.
I'll go with that. I will go with that. I like his definition better.
There you go.
But no, I mean, Black Tower, honestly, for me personally, and I try to communicate this to my students and encourage them to do it, hopefully in a more rational, intelligent way than I have in the past. But personal experience will outdo a book any day of the week. And the only way to get that personal experience is to do it. It's just like driving a car. You can read that driver's manual all you want, but unless you actually get in the vehicle, you're not going to be able to drive. Because reading it and basically knowing how you're theoretically supposed to drive a car and getting in the car and driving it, two different things. And you can even take it to another level, because I've been driving for well over 20 years, almost 30 years actually if you count tractors. Every car you get into feels different. You actually, when you get a new car, you have to learn the feel of your car. And there's only one way to do it, and that's to drive it. Yeah, I would agree with that too, Black Tower, because there are a lot of things that you have to account for your personal power. And a lot of magicians say we are divinity in flesh. by that standard, your ego is manifesting your own power and creating your own reality without an outside force, or you're just self-hypnotizing and creating. But either way, you're getting the results. And that's the beauty about it. If you seek results, if you're getting the results, you're pretty much good to go. Yep. Self-diagnosed, because from the outside looking in, somebody can look at my practice and they can say it's completely placebo, it's completely self-hypnosis or delusional, but it's driving me in life and getting me results. But from my standpoint, there's things I can't know, I don't know, and they're there anyways. Like I have an incantation from Dragon Magic. Apparently it contains Latin. I don't know Latin. The only word in there that I would have guessed was Latin is the word draconis, because I know that one. That's the only word in Latin in that whole phrase I knew, and I actually thought it was a name, not actually the Latin word for dragon. I thought it was.
I actually have a question for you in regards to that in a second. But in regards to Black Tower, don't worry. You can say guys here. I don't care. I don't get hung up on anything. I am female. I am born, raised, identify whatever. I am female. However, if you say guys, dude, bro, I don't give two hells about it. Okay,
seriously, Linda's one of the guys to me. So
I am. I mean, if I could, I'd be standing up because I really hate sitting on the toilet seat or even hovering over it.
It is convenient.
I'm originally from Tennessee. That's exactly where I get it. And then I grew up in California, where dude is pretty much the catch-all for everything. I mean, there's a meme that makes me laugh. It's like, he's a dude, she's a dude, they're a dude, that's a dude. And then somebody was like, yeah. I looked at my water faucet today and I said, dude. So, yeah.
Now you got that brain worm in my head. Thank you.
He's a dude, she's a dude.
That's it! Oh, dudes. I was like, oh my. So you even knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Chinese kid, of course I do. But anyway, so I had like a brainworm again from an early 2000s cartoon pop into my head the other day, and it made me laugh. And the fact that you brought up Latin, which was what my comment was going to be here in a second. So I know we have talked about, chants and meditation and spells and everything being in our own languages and how we would say things. I know in Christianity, when you say a prayer, you say a prayer in whatever your language is, your native tongue is. However, there's the speaking in tongues, which typically results in people who've never spoken in Hebrew suddenly know how to speak Hebrew. And then I know a lot of Catholic prayers are also in Latin. Why could I not think of that? A lot of Catholic prayers are in Latin. And then you have, obviously the Torah, the Quran, everything is in its native tongue that it originally came from. But whenever you're doing a spell, are they more powerful if you do them in a more native tongue to whatever that, I guess, whatever that entity that you are praying to or asking for guidance from if you do work with an entity of some sort? And what stemmed this question for me is because I used to be a huge Jackie Chan Adventures TV show lover. I loved that show when I was a kid. And if you know what show I'm talking about,
I do.
Yes. So for those who don't know, because you're either A, too old and you just didn't care about WB cartoons,
I just got put you in the young category. Yay, me.
You're too young and you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about right now. Kids WB and you okay?
I poured a glass of water, so I've been drinking cold water, and I remembered I had coffee over here, so I just poured that.
No, you did not.
It's hot.
Oh. Okay. anyways, for those who don't even know what the hell the Kids WB was back in the early 2000s, what I think is called CW now, I don't even know what channel that is anymore. But it used to be the Warner Brothers TV or Warner Brothers channel that eventually turned into the WB. And in the early afternoons, right after school ended, it was the Kids WB, and then Saturday morning cartoons was also Kids WB. Had some of the greatest cartoons ever, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Jackie Chan Adventures, all that jazz. I was stoked. Anyways, Jackie Chan Adventures, it starred Jackie Chan.
Darkwing Duck. I grew up on that too.
Yes, Darkwing Duck.
It's on Hulu. I just found it on Hulu.
Isn't it on Disney Plus as well?
Oh, wait. Nope, I think I found it on Disney Plus. We just recently had that.
There you go.
She corrected me.
But anyways, he had like a niece named Jade, he had uncle, and there was like this big sumo wrestler guy who was a bad guy, and then he turned into a good guy. His name was like Toro or something. Anyways, going off topic. Uncle was like really into like kung fu, and like there's water running downstairs and I don't know why. There was some kind of like kung fu / magic that had these talismans, and they were spirit talismans, and they awoke this dragon, and it was crazy. But anyways, Uncle used to speak in Chinese, and he would say this chant for every single spell he did. And he always did it in Chinese because this was a Chinese dragon, and they were Chinese spells and Chinese talismans. So obviously, you gotta speak in Chinese when you're talking to the Chinese demon dragon. And he always said, Yumo Gui Gui Fai Di Zao, which translates in Chinese to spirits, demons, ghosts, monsters, quickly leave. So, do you believe, or is this a thing that if you are, like, let's say, talking Norse gods now, you know, if you are doing a spell and you are calling upon these Norse gods to speak or to help you in your spell work, should you be talking in Norse or using any kind of like Swedish, or I guess they're Swedish nowadays? Anyways, should you be using any of their native tongues to do your spell work or anything of that nature, or is it fine to speak in your own? Welsh too. I know it's like that entire area kind of.
Yeah, it's a very broad area. And yeah, Black Tower, you know, your 2 cents I would agree with. Now, here's the thing. You mentioned speaking in tongues. That's not actually just a church thing. There's a term you can look up called glossolalia. It's essentially channeling information verbally. And it usually...
Ukulele?
Glossolalia.
Oh, I think you said glass ukulele. I've been in Hawaii.
Kind of sounds like it. So... And it can come through as gibberish. But as far as languages go, to take a deity or a spirit and to put it into a limited box that we would put ourselves in, if it's as limited linguistically as we are, I would ask why you're seeking information from it. I've never run into an entity that has any trouble with multiple languages. Now, that's when you're speaking with an entity. However, you asked also about spell work. Now, here's the kicker. When we say the reason for using another language that might not be your native is because it requires more focus. And that focus can add more power to the ritual if the focus that it takes you to read the spell in that language doesn't actually pull focus away from your intent on the spell. Because if you become more focused on trying to pronounce what's in front of you, as opposed to the intent to manifest, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So it's kind of a double-bladed sword here, because if you can pronounce it easy enough and speak it simple enough, but it's not your native language, so you're adding that focus to it, it can give you a bit more energy. But if it's far more distracting, you're taking away. So me, I actually do all of my spells in English because I cannot stand how I sound speaking anything with a southern twang. I mean, I had 12 magicians laughing their butts off because I actually did a ritual in Hebrew once, and they just could not get over how Hebrew sounds with a southern twang. Because I was able to get the Hebrew memorized for the ritual, which I don't speak Hebrew, so don't ask. But that twang was still there. They'd never heard anything so funny. And it honestly, the ritual I didn't get much out of the ritual personally because I was too focused on trying to pronounce it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. And the magician kind of has to figure out what's going to work best for them. And that's, again, goes back to that trial and error method. My incantations, for the most part, are almost simple prayers. They're just short sentences. With the exception of the draconic one that was given to me, and I didn't even know what it was. I just thought it was essentially mostly gibberish until someone corrected me on that. And I know how to pronounce it. I don't think about what it means. It's a repetition thing that helps you sink into that trance state.
I hate cats.
No, you don't. Don't even try that.
I hate cats. No, I just saw something that my cat did, and I'm going to yeet her into the sun. And for those who are too old to know what the word yeet is, because I'm also too old to know what the word yeet is until some kids at work translated it for me, it means throw very, very far. I'm going to throw her all the way to the sun.
Yeah. And yeah, Black Tower's correct. The accent and everything's not important. The problem with the accent for me, Black Tower, is it distracts me. Because even I find the language with a southern twang distracting. So it distracts me.
I know this is going to sound really, really silly, but I would love to go to a magic circle where everybody is speaking in sign language. I would love to see how that goes. That would be amazing.
I actually saw that happen one time. It was down.
And you did invite me.
I didn't know you at the time. That was.
Well, it's a good thing we've met now. Now we
yeah.
meet.
It was down in Louisiana, and a mambo decided to do a ritual. And she wanted the whole thing done in sign language because it's for a very specific group. And I got to go to it because my teacher at the time was going, and she wanted to show how the wording doesn't actually have to be verbalized so much as just projected, because that was something she was trying to drill into me at the time. And what better way to do it than walk into a ritual and see them draw up energy with sign language where there's literally no intoning or vibrating going. And it drove that point home. It was kind of fascinating. And I don't speak sign language, so I really didn't know what was being said. They gave me a little piece of paper to read from because I'm an idiot. So they took pity on the stupid guy, but I wasn't supposed to speak. They gave me a few little symbols to, kind of signal, hey, whoa, hold on, and stuff. But other than that, I was just kind of along for the ride.
I love it. All right, so I'm going to go back to the placebo effect one more time, because this one's just going to punch a lot of people in the face, and I like being controversial because I have no official path that I walk yet, so no one can get too angry at me. I'm still learning. I'm a baby.
Well, technically, I haven't got a path. I just do whatever works for me.
So, anyways, when it comes to the symbology of magic work, now, do you think that people put too much focus onto their symbolism within the, Black Tower actually kind of triggered this thought in my brain. Do you think people focus too much of the symbology of, what they have, on their altars, on, whatever it may be that they're using for their work? Do you think people put too much significance into the symbology of it and therefore detract from what they are trying to conceive, and then basically put all of their blame or all of their success into those items or into that symbology?
That's actually a good question. In fact, I was going to pitch a topic to you called because I saw a video recently called "Plastic Witchcraft" and get rid of it. And even for me personally, that's a controversial topic because I see both sides. And that's you're touching on it here because there are a lot of practitioners who really do, in my opinion, get carried away more with all the bells and whistles and toys and what they have on their altar than actually learning to master themselves and master the ability to raise the energy and focus it to where they need. One thing I have told my students over the years is the tools and the instruments, they can help you focus that energy. I mean, if you look back here next to my tripod, you'll see a staff. That is my staff. I've had that thing for years, and me and it have been through a lot. So there's been a lot of energy pumped through it. And I do still use it, but I don't require it. And starting out tools can be handy because they can help you focus. But you don't want to overly rely on them either, and you definitely don't want to go on a shopping spree and a spending spree just to get more knickknacks, because knickknacks don't add power. My students, I usually start them off with no tools. I want them to learn to direct energy to some level by themselves, to see that they can do it themselves before I hand them a tool. They won't get an athame, they won't get a wand or anything like that until they can show they can do it themselves. My altar, before I just got the new one made for me by a friend, it was a piece of square plywood painted black that I would sit on the floor. That was my working altar. And I had a place for 2 candles. That's all I put on it. I keep a very bare bones practice. Now, that's not to say those other things can't add to it. But you got to make sure they're not distracting you. Because ultimately your goal is to be able to focus the energy for manifestation, not collect knickknacks.
So one of the things, like the reason why I was actually thinking about this question was like Black Towers and symbolism, and that's kind of what triggered the question. I actually was going to ask you this the other night, but hey, we're on stream, so why not ask you openly?
There you go.
So as I was talking to you about incense burners the other day and everything, like when I originally had my meditation altar years ago, like we went through this backstory, not going to go back into it again, but ultimately, you know, my focus was I want symbolism of the elements there, and then aromatherapy because that makes me feel better. Now, I was looking at other things, and because of all the things that I was looking up on my computer and on my cell phone, Pinterest popped up and it says things you might be interested in looking at, and it was altar ideas and blah 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 and incense burners and all this stuff. So obviously this stuff pops up because of all my Google searches. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's click on that. Oops, pardon my French. Anyways, so I look at this these Pinterests, and I'm not even kidding you. There's altars with like, you know, tables full of just random knickknacks. And I mean, like, I can understand, you know, having your elements represented there, and you may have a couple things, you know, representing the main elements, and then you may have like your incense burner, you may have your knife, you may have like your book of shadows, your grimoire, you may have like a couple things. But I mean, there were like altars that had like 5 or 6 statues around, and then there were some pictures, and then there was like an eagle feather, and then there was like some dog teeth, and then there was like a human skull on one of them, and then like 20 different pentagrams all in facing different directions, and then there was like a representation of the moon, and then there was like 20 different claws, and then there's like, oh, and you know what, here, we're just going to have like a fucking bird in a cage right here beside it, because why not?
Yeah.
And then here you go, you also have like a picture of Elvis Presley, because I don't know, I'm starting to add random things because it was just that ridiculous of how many like things people were putting on their altars. And I'm like, is this how people like do things? Because I don't understand. Should I just put my toys like on an altar?
Some people do. I've actually seen a practitioner who works with Loki, and they had a Loki action figure. And
That's adorable.
they wanted a representation of Loki, and the only statues they could find were like $90. They can't afford it, so they went with what they could get.
I mean,
And
that's understandable. That makes a lot of sense. But I mean, like, clutter. It
yeah,
just
now hold yeah. It is not uncommon to see a voodoo altar that looks extremely cluttered. I mean, they're usually piled high because they're always giving gifts and stuff, and there's reasons for it. There is reasons for it. But unless there's a specific reason, is it needed? No. But another thing is your altar should be personal. It should connect with you just the same way anything else does. It really should reflect you and your practice. So, perfect example. When I started my practice, I had those knickknacks. I was trying to get the little bell on my altar. I was trying to get the little silver pentagram. I was trying to get the correct candle holders. I was trying to get the candle snuffer. I was trying to get the incense bowl. I was trying to get it all. I was trying to get the correct crystals. And I was doing a spell that required me to engrave a stick. And the stick was another symbol. But at the end of the spell, I'm supposed to take and I'm supposed to just chop this stick in half on my altar. Everything makes sense to me. We get to that part, I go whack. Everything on my altar goes boom. And now I'm running around trying to get candles out before my house catches fire. It was at that moment I realized simple is better.
why does that not shock me? Like, I can see something like that happening with you.
Yeah, I mean,
I can also see Safi like standing there in the background going,
she wasn't home. This is the first she's hearing about it. If she's still in chat.
"Oh, Safi!
Oh, Lord. I got a lot of people up in here. Hello,
Wash me."
Aiton. I just clicked over to... Yeah. So, yeah, that's the first she's heard about it. But then she's seen me do a lot worse, so she can't complain too much. And some of it I still don't know how I did.
I like it.
So...
I need to know Safi's opinion on this situation because, like I said, all I can imagine is her sitting in a corner going, maybe with a little, "Oh my God."
Oh, there she is. I'm not surprised. So, see? She knows what she married. And that's really what led me to try and figure out how streamlined I can make my altar. And it was when I started studying Norse and and a lot of different shamanism practices that I fell in love with the simplicity. And then when the deeper I got into dragon magic, it's just like the dragons were like, "Well, that's nice, but you don't need it. Well, that's nice, you don't need it." And they started putting more and more focus on, why don't you trust yourself? Why don't you learn to do it for yourself? And it's just like, okay, guys, I see where you're going with it. But, again, your altar has to match you. And honestly, if I could, I'd be a very minimalistic person in how I keep my house and live. Not because anything environmental or anything feng shui or any of that spiritual stuff. The simple fact is, I don't like to clean around clutter. It's easier to clean when you ain't got a lot of stuff.
You're not wrong.
So... it's a practical concept for me. And then there's people, they love their knickknacks and their decorations and their little pretty things. And it adds something to their life. To me, it adds stress. I don't like stress. Let's not add stress. To them, it brings joy. And if that works, go for it. That's one thing I love about the laws of magic, because they tell you, if it's working for you, it's technically true magically.
So there is a small part of me that will always be practical and say, if you have that many knickknacks and you are lighting candles around them, please at least add like 3 or 4 inches between the knickknacks and the candles that you have sitting down on your altar, because you will burn down your house and then nobody's going to be happy.
Yes.
No amount of magic will bring back your happiness after your entire house burns down.
Geico will.
I mean, Geico might. Why did your house burn down? Because I had too many candles on my altar that had 20 stuffed animals and a bird and a picture of Elvis. And
I actually know people who have Elvis on their altar.
I don't know why that is, and I pretty much don't ever want to meet that person. I walked into an apartment recently, being like in the last 2 years, because time stops when you're in Hawaii. You think you've only been here for like 2 weeks or like 10 years, and then it turns out it's been like a year. So I digress on all that. I walked into basically an apartment that was dedicated to Elvis. I've never seen so many posters or Elvis memorabilia in my life in a single room before, and it was terrifying.
Well, I can't say too much. I mean, okay, I'm not that bad, but I have a Mandalorian helmet in my living room. And I actually used to have a full suit of Mandalorian armor in the living room on a mannequin.
Star Wars is a completely relevant thing. Elvis has been dead for a long time.
His music's still relevant.
Like maybe 4 songs. Like you name like more than 4 songs. If you were
Outside Jailhouse Rock, Blue Suede Shoes. Yeah, I think I'm done.
You're missing. Okay, you missed one of the biggest ones.
Did I say I'm not?
Oh
yeah, that one. I do know that one. Okay.
See, he's not that relevant anymore. But I mean, like for people who were around when he was still making music,
yeah,
he's still pretty relevant in their lives. But I mean, once again, that was a suit of armor and a helmet. This was literally every single wall around the house, and then you sit down on the couch, and there's like vinyl like things and stuff with his face under your ass, and like
that could be a little far, but
there was a VHS in the VCR that was playing a TV special from the 90s about Elvis. Like it still had the commercials from the 90s because they recorded it on their VCR.
Woo!
Yeah. But I mean, this person was also kind of batshit crazy, so I mean, it was fine. It was fine. Yeah. But it was the most Elvis I had ever seen in my life.
That's a lot of Elvis.
I thought my family loved Elvis a lot, but no. This was like a whole nother level of Elvis devotion.
I've always kind of just saw it as the same people who have the sports room or house, because I've seen whole houses decorated with sports stuff, and those kind of creep me out.
I hope you married somebody like that. But I can't really speak much on that because I mean, like my house is very nerdy, but at the same time,
I try to see the person and what they enjoy, and it's their house. I try that, and there are times when I try as my May. It's just like I can't stay in this house. I gotta go.
I'm just looking forward to the day that I walk into someone's house and I have to wear a plastic suit because they're super germ freaks, and I'm going to suddenly catch the bubonic plague and just sneeze on everything.
yeah, that would be rough.
I just want one friend like that just so I can torture them with because I'm not typically a sickly person. I get sick maybe 3 or 4 times a year, but it ranges from a day or 2 to maybe a week. I just want to be oh no, I feel like the bubonic plague's coming.
See, I get sick 3 or 4 times a century.
Well, some of us were graced with that kind of immune system, okay? I've gotten a lot better in the last year. It was once a month I was getting sick, but now it's 3 or 4 times a year.
But,
okay, so you know what? We have gone over time by a half hour.
Really? Oh, crap, we have.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. It really does. I wanted to bring up one thing, and I wanted to bring it up reverse from how we do, because I want to get your view on something magical.
If it's Lucky Charms, they're magically delicious.
Yes, they are. No, we've been talking about placebo effect, right?
Okay.
Yeah, back when I mentioned how baneful magic can affect someone without even knowing, and you pretty much got to throw placebo out. Now, from a magical practitioner standpoint, that's in some ways that's almost the ultimate confirmation of manifestation. If you can manifest something exactly as you intended it, and the person never knew, so they're not self-cursing. From a non-practitioner viewpoint, where does that sit in your wheelhouse?
So if I'm like, let me make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. So, you're over here in your house doing your magic, and we'll pretend it's me because I know you love me to death, but you want to curse me with stubbing my toe every hour, or something bad to happen to me like once an hour, every hour, or something like that, right? Or just something bad.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. And then suddenly, I just suddenly keep having bad luck every single day for like the next month. Like I wake up and suddenly I have a nosebleed. And then the next day I stub my toe. The next day I fall down a flight of stairs. The next day, I really hope that's not you that did this to me because that's been happening a lot lately. No, I'm just kidding. No, I feel like if the person doesn't know, it's kind of like a control versus like a controlled situation. If they don't know that they have been cursed, then yeah, I would say that would be magic. Or they are just really shitty people in the universe is finally delivering their just desserts. Or it's me and I'm just really, really klutzy and I fall downstairs a lot. And get nosebleeds a lot. And stub my toe a lot.
Yeah, and I see what I see what you're saying there. But some people push it further. Like, I can't give names because that'd just be bad. But I do know someone who, in order to study baneful magic, they will go to like prison record systems and find people who's doing life for horrible, horrible, horrible things, and try and test it that way. But I guess.
Are you saying that Epstein did not kill himself?
I'm not going there. But I don't.
I'm sorry.
I don't buy it. But
I'm sorry.
let's go to the extreme on this. Let's say there's somebody out there who's just spiteful enough that they want to take a healthy person and give them a heart attack. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And it happens within a week. That person has a heart attack for no reason.
Okay.
Now, from a magical standpoint, that's pretty solid non-placebo effect magic.
Yes.
So from a non-magical standpoint, where do you stand?
I mean,
because like you said, the chain of events you described, you could just be a klutz.
I am a klutz. I mean, I just described a normal week in my shoes. So,
oh, Lord.
I was about to ask you and Sephi, what did I do to piss you guys off this time?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Sephi, what did I do? No, so taking that the person is 100% healthy and this was completely out of nowhere, I mean, there would have to be some kind of divine intervention that occurred, whether it was willed by a magical practitioner or something beyond the universe. Yeah. Like, there are things that I will say, as somebody who believes in magic, like, I would say that there was some kind of divine intervention. Now, if it was somebody who was of a religious standpoint, such as Christian, because, like I said, I can give you a bit of a Christian view since that was what I was raised as, then they'd probably be, well, God let it be. That is what God's will was out, It happened. God wanted it to happen, therefore it happened. If, as a atheist or somebody who just does not believe in magic in general, it's coincidence. There could have been something scientific that could have led to said heart attack, such as, if they are in prison, then being in a very stressful situation and the continuous changing patterns that occurs in a prison setting could have just been too much stress and caused them to have a heart attack. If they are out of prison and they were in prison, they could have gotten used to that high stress environment and suddenly keeled over from a heart attack because they had went from a high stress environment to a no stress environment and then kind of had something stressful happen and their body basically went in shock and caused a heart attack and stuff like that. Because that happens to a lot of
She can speak, we promise.
That happens to a lot of military people because they are so used to, we'll take a career military person Granted, we get our asses beat all the time, and we live off of energy drinks and ibuprofen. So we're not necessarily the healthiest people in the world. However, our bodies as a whole become kind of used to and jaded to all this. But we become very used to high stress environments. Whether you're a submariner on a submarine and you're working on the schedules and you're working under those working conditions. If you're like me, you go on the surface ship and you kind of develop Stockholm syndrome and you become very, acquainted with the ship life, and you eventually grow to love the ship life, which that happens a lot to people. Or just in general, you work in another like high stress environment of that caliber, and then you retire. And what do you do when you retire? Your body's broken to all smithereens, and you're making enough money you don't need to work anymore. So you go to the USS couch. You go and relax, and you watch football, and you eat snacks, and you actually get to sleep in every single day now, and you don't have to wear shoes when you go shower, and you actually get to come home at a decent hour and see your family members. And it has been proven time and time again, once somebody has come out of that high stress environment, it actually will kill them because their bodies have become so adapted to that high stress environment that it does not know how to react in a low stress environment, and essentially just kills itself because it's like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
So that could also be a situation if that person theoretically was in prison and then for some reason got excused, or they served their sentence or what have you, and now they're living amongst normal people again, and they go home and they just...
And see, that's a good point. And one of the reasons I brought this up, there are people who see baneful magic as the best proof for non-placebo effect. Now, the reason I brought it up and pitched it to you is because what this shows is, yes, to a magical practitioner, it can be a pretty rock-solid, life-changing, proving event. However, to an atheist or somebody who will seek out a logical, non-magical conclusion, they'll find that conclusion no matter what they have to do, period.
And so you just gotta look at it every side of the die. Some die are 20 deep, some are 100 deep. You just gotta look at them from all sides.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes a while.
And that kind of brings me...
Yeah,
and that brings me to my closing point. If you practice magic or spirituality of any kind, if it's working for you and you're getting the results or benefits from it that you like, don't worry about the arguments of placebo or not, because if it's working for you, even if all it's doing is helping you relax and enjoy your life, it's not manifesting anything other than it brings joy. Rock it.
However, if you are doing some kind of, you want to test your own magical abilities and you want to be, tested on somebody and see if there's a placebo effect or anything like that, my name is Linda, and I am amazing and short and sweet, and I have this really awesome hair. And if you want to, bless me with some good luck this week and some peace of mind, just send all those magical vibes to me. Give me a good day, and I will let you know, hey friends, I had a great week. Thanks for all your magical vibes. Because sending good vibes out into the world is better than sending out negative energy. Just saying. I mean, you could send some over to Drake too, but he's already awesome.
I am pretty awesome.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a fantastic stream. Thank you, Black Tower, for coming in, hanging out, and throwing your questions and giving us some very valid opinions and some very great insight from the way you see things.
It's been awesome having you, man.
Yeah. I'm going to send this over to Drake. You want to tell us about your newest videos and everything that's coming up this week for your class?
Yeah, actually this whole month, our Tuesday videos will be dedicated to Dragon Magic. I've been getting spammed. Well, I won't say spammed because it's not spammed. It's actually genuine people who want more Dragon Magic videos after that intro I did. So, the Tuesday videos, we're going to be going over the 9 elemental rulers. We're going to be going over a basic Dragon Magic ritual that you can get started with if you want to find out a little bit more about Dragon Magic, and maybe is this path something you want to look into. And of course, we're going to touch on how to contact a guardian dragon and a co-magician dragon. And they're going to be very simple rituals that will work. And we're going to try and get a few more mead videos for the Friday videos this month as well. So actually, Tuesday, we should have the video up on the 9 elemental rulers for Dragon Magic coming. Because before we get you into the ritual, you need to know what you're working with. Because I know somebody's going to be like, well, I wanted the ritual first. Well, we're getting there.
All right, guys. So that's all we have for time for this week. Come in next week. Check it out. Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, and whatever time in the middle between those coasts. I don't know because I can't math really properly. So go check it out yourself. Let me know what it is, and we might actually put it out to you guys on your time zones. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in, hanging out. Thank you for all your questions. We seriously appreciate when you actually come in and you give us your questions, you give us your feedback. It really helps us tell us what we're doing and how we can better help you and help better educate you. And it helps me figure out questions that I don't even know what to ask. So thank you, Mr. or Miss Black Tower. I did not catch your name. I'm so sorry. But my name is The Linda, or Caffeine and Chaos. That handsome fellow over there is Drake, the Working Dragon Mystic. You can find him by basically typing in the Working Dragon Mystic or Dragon Working on Twitter, and you will find his YouTube, his Facebook, his Twitter account, and all of the places that he will be able to update you. He also has a website, theworkingdragonmystic.com.
Yep.
I remembered things. Where he posts his classes, his videos, his links, everything that you need to know about his channel and all of the things that he is working on. I am The Linda. I am so happy to see you guys. Stay caffeinated, cause some chaos. This is the Magical Coffee Hour. Have a good afternoon. Bye!
Stay awesome, everyone. Bye.